In a kingdom that measured the sky, one man made time announce itself. Then a broken seat erased his name from the record. This is not a fairy tale from a storybook cave. It is a night story from Joseon, Korea, in the age of King Sejong, when the court believed the heavens judged the throne, and a craftsman of low birth rose higher than the law of rank should have allowed. His name was Jang Yeong-sil. Listen as if the lamps are low and the water is still dripping. Later ages would call him an inventor. In his own century, the first fact that mattered was simpler and crueler. He was born far beneath the men who wrote the histories. Popular memory places him in the Donghae region, today's Busan coast. A life of workshop hands and borrowed tools, not silk and examination halls. Whether every village legend about pumps and drought machines is true, we cannot swear by torchlight. What the larger tradition holds is this: his skill was too loud to stay local. An official eye found him. A path into the palace workshops opened, and once inside, he began to make things the court could not ignore. Sejong's court did not chase gadgets for amusement. Time and the sky were political. Eclipses were omens. Calendars ordered planning, ritual, and punishment. When forecasts drawn from Chinese calculations missed a soul sky by minutes, officers could be beaten for being wrong about heaven. Sundials worked when the sun worked. At night and in the long rains, the kingdom still needed a voice that said, now. Water clocks already existed. Bronze vessels, rising floats, a human watcher waiting to strike a drum, but a tired man could doze. A missed strike was not a small failure. It was a crack in the order of the day. The court wanted better instruments, armillary spheres for the stars, and a water clock that would not depend on a sleepless servant. So the story sends Jang, with others, toward Ming China. Not as a tourist, but as eyes the king could trust. In that empire, the study of the heavens was guarded like a state secret. Observatories were not free libraries. An outsider could stand near greatness and still be turned away. Retellings say he never walked freely through the forbidden instruments of the imperial compound. The palaces held water clocks for queens and emperors that no foreign craftsman was meant to dismantle. If he could not open those doors, he had to open others. Book markets, diagrams, traveler's talk, the slow theft of principle rather than the theft of a machine. He returned not with a trophy stolen from a tower, but with a mind full of possibilities, and a court waiting to see whether possibility could become bronze. His early work improved what Joseon already knew. A refined water clock, remembered as the Gyeongjonggi, measured the flow more carefully. Yet it still needed human eyes. Someone still had to watch the rising mark and strike the hour. That was the old trap. Precision in the vessels, frailty in the watchman. Jang's true ambition, the one that would make his name, was different. He wanted the clock itself to strike. Not a servant with a mallet. Not a yawn at the third watch. A machine that heard its own water and answered with drum and bell. The machine is remembered as the Jagyeongnu, the self-striking water clock. Water fell through a chain of vessels so the flow stayed even. A float rose. A rod lifted. Balls dropped. Levers tripped. Wooden figures moved as if a ghost crew kept the watch. Bells and drums announced the hour while the courtyard slept. In the language of later museums and restorations, it was not magic. It was gravity, buoyancy, and cunning carpentry chained together until time had a body. For a 15th-century court, it was close enough to wonder. Sources place its triumph in the early 1430s of Sejong's reign. The king made it more than a curiosity. It became a standard by which the realm could keep the hour. Rain or dark, palace gate or city street, the signal traveling outward like a shared pulse. Skill without rank is a tool. Skill with rank is a scandal. Sejong pushed Jang upward through offices that shocked men of pedigree. Ministers argued. Some said a man of such birth should not stand so near the throne's technical power. The king answered again and again with results. Promotion followed promotion until Jang stood among senior ranks, remembered in the tradition as high as the class of Daehogan, a height no bondservant story is supposed to reach. Around him, the science program of the reign unfolded. Sundials like the Angbilgu for public hours, instruments for a sky measured in Joseon's own longitude, a quiet insistence that this kingdom would not live forever on another empire's minutes. In that work, Yang's hands appear again and again, not always as the sole genius of every device, but as the craftsman who could turn theory into metal that moved. Then comes the year later, ages cannot soften, 1442. A royal palanquin, an angio, a traveling seat for a king who was often ill and often on the road to hot springs. failed. A beam, a joint, a moment of weight and motion, and the seat that should have carried majesty failed under him. The official story turns like a blade. Jung had supervised work on the conveyance. He had some records suggest, spoken with confidence that it would hold. Confidence is expensive when a king nearly falls. The sentence was brutal in public. Flogging, remembered as 80 strokes, and dismissal. The man who had made time speak for a kingdom was cast out of office as if a single broken seat canceled 20 years of bronze and water. Here the night tale turns colder than the workshop. After the punishment, Jang Yeong-sil's name thins in the annals. No clean last chapter. No recorded quiet retirement with honors. Later rumor places him as a local notable in one province or another, but the court record that once tracked his rise goes quiet. Scholars still argue why. Was it pure accident and a king's rage at a broken promise of safety? Was it court politics using a cracked beam as a knife? Was the science program itself dangerous diplomacy under Ming eyes? And a famous craftsman too bright a lantern to keep lit? We do not know. Nightfall Tales will not invent a conspiracy the sources refuse to prove. What we can say is enough for a long night. A low-born man rose by skill, taught a capital to hear the hour without a watchman, and left history with an unfinished sentence, as if someone closed the book mid-line. If you walk a museum floor today and stand before a restored water clock of Joseon, listen past the modern glass. In the drip and the waiting ball, you can still hear the ambition of a craftsman who believed time should speak even when men sleep. Jang Yeong-sil's body left the palace record. His hours did not. This was the first tale of our Annals After Dark. Old Asia told after nightfall. Subscribe and stay for the next story when the lamp is lit again. Softly now, the water is still falling.